Aloha. My name is David Foreman. I'm a professor of law at the William S. Richardson School of Law, University of Hawaii at Manoa. In addition to my role as co-director of our Environmental Law Program, or ELP, I have the pleasure of serving as this year's regional coordinator for the North American regional rounds of the Stetson International Environmental Law Court Competition. This year's problem involves proposed oil extraction activities in Africa that may or may not impact Royal Mountain gorillas. On behalf of students from 9 schools across 4 time zones who started preparing for the competition last summer and made their written submissions in November, we are sincerely grateful to all of you for volunteering to judge this competition. Collectively, you represent an even greater number of time zones. Some of you hardy souls are even staying up into or waking up in the middle of the night to help us evaluate the students' arguments. Thank you so much. The diversity of experiences contained in these panels will provide an immense benefit to whichever teams are eventually invited to the international finals, scheduled to take place April 10 to 13 at Stetson University College of Law in Gulfport, Florida. Regardless of the time zone where you find yourself, please know that we all greatly appreciate your willingness to contribute your time before and during this event. We will be conducting this virtual competition using Zoom. You do not need to sign up with the company. All you need to do is remember the password gorillas and simply click on the link that we'll email to you. For your convenience, at the beginning of each competition day, we plan to resend the link so it does not get buried in your inbox. Please remember to check for updates in advance, since this process can take a bit of time. If at all possible, please join 15 to 30 minutes prior to your scheduled heat in order to facilitate our team's logistical needs. You can go on mute and please turn off your video prior to that and take care of other business before we get started. Just in case any of you are not already familiar with the Zoom platform, a future email will include a link to a Zoom user's guide as well as a short video tutorial that's less than 13 minutes long. If you experience any difficulty connecting via Zoom, please call +1 808-956-2865. Well, one of our law students will be monitoring that line in order to provide technical assistance. In case you get shunted to voicemail, don't be surprised. We're borrowing the office of one of my colleagues on leave with the Biden administration. Otherwise, you can try calling my office line at +1 808-956-5298. If I am busy putting out other fires and you're not able to get through, try calling our law school's information technology office. That's +1 808-956-4727, or send an email to elphawaii@gmail.com. If you have not already done so, please send your mobile or cell phone number or other contact where I can reach you in case of an urgent need, for example, clarifying scores or anything else. My cell WhatsApp contact is +1 808-230-4297. In order to preserve anonymity before and between rounds, as I suggested before, please click the icon to turn off your camera prior to joining our Zoom meeting. The system settings should automatically mute you upon entry. Please stay muted until invited to unmute yourself. You can use the chat function if you need some help from one of the 2 ELP research associates who will be monitoring that room. They will admit you from the Zoom waiting room into the main room, but it may take a little while before you are given the opportunity to join the appropriate breakout room. The virtual courtrooms, if you will. Either one of the 6 heats that are spread across the 4 preliminary rounds scheduled for Thursday and Friday, or middle of the night, Friday and Saturday for some of you, if not one of the 2 semifinal rounds or championship round on Saturday, which will be Sunday for some of you. One of you will assume the role as president for the International Court of Justice. The others will be judges, and the agents for the applicant and respondent will refer to you collectively as Your Excellencies. This level of deference is typically shown to the International Court of Justice, and it's perfectly appropriate for this competition. We will suggest one of you for the role of president prior to the round. If you decline, we will approach another without disclosing that fact. One of our law students will be assigned to each of the breakout rooms as bailiff. As necessary, the bailiff will remind participants to rename themselves according to the format that I've tried to emulate here on this screen. We'll provide some instructions via email. The applicants and respondents will have, the A1 for the agent number 1, A2 agent number 2, R1 for respondent agent 1, and R2 for respondents agent 2. Coaches' names will not be identified, although the team number will be provided. And any observers, sometimes a third team member, might be identified by name, but it'll be clear that they are not providing oral arguments. We'll ask you to identify yourself as president with your surname or substitute if your culture provides, and then you can include location in parentheses, and pronouns are optional. He, him, or they works for me, so whatever works for you is fine, or leave it off. The bailiff will have a worksheet to record all relevant information, including each oralist's name and each team's number, as well as the order that each agent will argue. For the applicant goes first, and the respondent goes second. First 2 applicants, and then second 2 respondents. The bailiff will also record how much of the applicant's time the team intends to serve for rebuttal. Only one of the applicant's agents may provide rebuttal. However, they need not disclose the identity of that individual to the court or the respondents in advance. Unlike the Jessup International Law Moot Court competition, surrebuttal is not allowed for this competition. In addition to informing the bailiff in advance about the amount of rebuttal time, the initial applicant's agent, or A1, must inform the court at the beginning of their oral submissions how much, if any, of their total 30 minutes shall be reserved for rebuttal. When it is time to start the round, the bailiff will unmute and confirm that everyone is ready to begin, in addition to reminding everyone to mute their microphones whenever they are not speaking. The bailiff will then announce the case and say, Madam or Mr. President, before muting themselves. And at that point, the president can invite the A1, initial applicant's agent, to begin. The time will start when the oralist begins to address the court. We request that you hold any initial questions until after each oralist completes their roadmap. Then physically raise and or wave your hand in an attempt to gain the oralist's attention, recognizing that this virtual format often makes it harder to pick up on social cues and potentially may involve delays based on variable internet speeds around the globe. Also remember to mute yourself after asking your question. In light of the challenges of this virtual format, the oralists will be advised to ask for questions when shifting from issue to issue for the sake of efficiency. For example, this concludes our submissions on issue 1. Are there any further questions before I move to the next issue? Please do not hold this against the oralists in your assessments. Please take notes for each oralist in order to assist with determining scores for each of the categories identified in the oral argument score sheet. Of course, those in the championship round do not need to use the score sheet. But for those who do, please try to be objective and consistent, and do not hold the merits against the parties. Everyone will be arguing off memorial at least once during the competition, and possibly more. The bailiff will keep time. We're initially thinking we'll use the chat, although we might resort to time cards. The agents will be notified at 10, 7, 5, 3, and 1 minutes, and then stop. The oralist should stop immediately when the bailiff indicates, but may ask for a brief moment to finish answering the question, to conclude, or to finish their thought. It is up to the president to decide whether to permit a very short additional amount of time, but please be consistent when exercising that discretion. Also endeavor to be balanced in the terms of the amount of questions asked of each oralist. And note that if the first oralist does not use their allotted time, the remaining time is lost and does not transfer to their partner. In the event of serious technical difficulties or other issues during the round, the bailiff will take charge by pausing the time and immediately contacting me or someone on my team. Time spent resolving the matter will not be deducted from the ORLIS's allotted time. Please be patient with and kind to all who are taking the time to participate in this educational effort. After the oralists have finished all of their arguments, including the single rebuttal, if any, the bailiff will invite you to provide the students with optional, but in any event, very concise general feedback that does not divulge any secrets from the confidential bench memo that we sent to you. With 4 judges on most panels, a total of 10 minutes would mean only 2.5 minutes for each judge if everyone chooses to speak. If your feedback runs long, we have instructed the bailiff to take charge and limit your critique so that we can stay on time. So please respect any other judges that wish to comment. If you would like to provide additional feedback, either via recorded video or in writing via email, I will do my best to share what you send with the oralists as soon as other demands on my time allow. Please do not ask the teams where they are from. Even if you are not judging a subsequent heat, someone else on the panel may be. Upon request, I can also provide you with relevant information at a subsequent time. After completing your critiques, the bailiff will unmute again, brief critiques. The bailiff will unmute again and thank everyone for participating. The bailiff will then inform the teams that the round is over and instruct them to return to the main Zoom room. There's no need for you to caucus together as judges unless you are judging the championship round. Instead, I will calculate the oralist's average scores based on your collective score sheets, then add the team's average memorial score to determine who won each round. During the preliminary rounds, the average score for each oralist will count for 1/3 of their total score. During the semifinal rounds, the average score for each oralist will count for 45% of their total score. To the extent possible, we will try to provide you in advance with an oral argument score sheet that has the blanks for team members, each applicant, team numbers, each applicant, and each respondent filled in. Alternatively, we are in the process of exploring options to provide you with a link that will facilitate submission of your scores electronically. In any event, whether electronically or otherwise, upon confirming your receipt of the score, the bailiff will invite you to either disconnect or turn off your camera and rejoin the main Zoom room for reassignment to another breakout room or virtual courtroom in case you are doing back-to-back heats that day. If you are judging Heat B on Thursday or Heat E on Friday, be aware that one of the teams may have had a bye during the previous round. We have 9 participants, so one team will have a bye in Heats A and B and Heats C, D, and E. Although Heats A and C will be set in advance based on memorial scores, I will need to perform calculations after we conclude on Thursday to determine the power protected matchups in Heat D. Additional time likely will be required to determine the matchups for Heats E and F, so it is possible that the start of these rounds may be delayed. Regrettably, I did not account for that possibility when setting the overall schedule, so please be patient with us. If this possibility presents any difficulties for you, please let me or a member of my team know, and we can try to adjust accordingly. After watching this video, please reach out if you have any further questions. We sincerely hope you enjoy the experience, and thank you so much for doing this for us. Aloha.